Okay, everybody, I'm really excited today because this guest that's on the show is someone I have admired for a long time now. I feel like I grew up with him watching Shameless. You probably know him from that show as Lip Gallagher. I am with Jeremy Allen White today, who plays Josh in the new film, The Rental. Jeremy, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing really well. Thank you for the kind words.
Oh, yeah, no problem, man. And, I threw on this movie hearing it was Dave Franco's directorial debut, so I was really interested. And it was a pleasant surprise to see you starring in it. How did this role kind of come about for you, and what was it like working with a first-time director in Dave Franco?
Yeah, how it came about, I pretty much I lucked out. I got a cold email from Dave, and he just said some really nice things. He'd seen me in Shameless and a couple other things, and he was a fan, and it was just a straight offer, kind of like if I was interested, then he'd love to have me, kind of thing. And first I looked at who else was all a part of it, and I was a fan of Dave, so I was excited to get it just from him. But he also had his wife Allison Brie, who I was a fan of, attached already. Dan Stevens attached already. I'm not sure if Sheila was attached already, but I'm a fan of hers as well. So I saw that he had kind of, brought a really talented group of actors together for it already. So I was excited. And then I started reading it. And yeah, it was interesting. I've never done anything really in the horror genre, but I don't know. I think Dave and Joe Swanberg, who co-wrote the script with him, they kind of like grounded the genre a little bit. I guess.
Sure.
I guess what happens in the movie just seems plausible enough
Yeah.
that I think it strikes a kind of like honest chord of fear with anybody,
Yeah.
I would think. So I was interested in that. And then Dave and I got to talking, and he was like, I want to approach it as kind of a character study about these relationships, and then everything goes crazy. And I just love Dave, and I love talking to him, and he's so smart and so kind, and it just seemed it seemed like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that it was like feels very grounded, and I totally agree with that. And I think like you're alluding to about just being about characters people can relate to, and they're really strong, and you have 4 great acting performances here as the leads. And it's interesting just seeing you on the first scene with Mina here and the actress of Sheila Bond, and I wonder, you see it and you're like, wow, the chemistry is amazing between you two from the start. Now, it's not like where you're on a long show developing that. So was it challenging to like get that down with an actress just in a movie, and how that kind of comes about? Is there like a test chemistry thing, or how does that work?
We lucked out. I mean, Sheila's so talented and grounding as a performer. I think she kind of like sucked me right in. And I think we lucked out in that there was just like an immediate ease and kind of respect for one another. It just made it really, really easy. And then also to kind of like continue to compliment Dave a little bit, I think, he put us all together. I think he did all that for a reason. And it worked. He made a really like safe environment. And I think he put the right folks in the roles, and it just worked.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because you're saying like the right focus on the roles and in a good environment, and I think there's such a good rhythm touching base with each of you guys, and in such a short amount of time getting to know each character. And I thought a really important scene was with Josh talking on the beach with Michelle about Mina, and he says, "I'm constantly terrified she's gonna leave me." I'm wondering, you see, he's someone who's insecure about dating someone he feels is better or smarter than him. Do you?
Way out of the league.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you can relate to that all in your life? Did it seem like something that came easy to you in the part to kind of pick that up?
Yeah. I mean, I've always, dated out of my weight class, and I certainly married out of my weight class. So I can definitely relate to that. Yeah, trying to hold on to something really bright and shiny, and you kind of feel like you're losing it. Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. I think that he's had a rough go at it even before the movie kind of starts, and you get the sense that his history has not been so happy. But then when you meet him, he's with this girl who's just like beautiful and smart and just so far out of his league, and you think, oh, maybe he's going to catch a break. And then, of course, quite the opposite happens, and it's just kind of tragedy after tragedy.
Yeah, and I feel like his brother Charlie here kind of talks down to him a bit, and I wonder if you can kind of go into that relationship a bit too as the brothers, because it seems a lot more complicated than it is on the surface, being that I feel like Charlie thinks he's like Mr. Perfect, and, you know, Josh, like you're saying, comes from a little more complicated background. Can you kind of get us in the mind of Josh and maybe how he views his brother Charlie throughout this film?
Yeah. I mean, I think kind of like the background that I kind of worked on for them was, I think Charlie was always a bit of an overachiever, Josh an underachiever, but at the same time, I think like most younger brothers and younger siblings, all they really want is their older siblings' acceptance. And I think that that's something that Charlie has kind of held over Josh their entire relationship. I think it just becomes clear in that scene kind of early in the movie when Charlie's talking to Michelle about how he feels about Mina and Josh's relationship. It's all right there. He never gave his brother a chance, and he doesn't think much of him. And I think Josh knows that and has to live with that. And that's got to be something very hard to exist in.
Do you feel in this film that Josh was suspicious of Charlie and Mina from the start, or was it kind of just not plausible to him in his head that his brother would actually go through with that?
You know what? I like to think that Josh was just completely ignorant, that he was, he just felt like he really lucked out with Mina, and that was his kind of his main focus a little bit,
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder too, because for me watching this film, I felt like Josh and Michelle were the ones the audience can kind of feel for a little more, and you kind of see the other two kind of affecting them, and they don't even notice, in a sense, of stuff that's going on behind their back, and it kind of starts the wheel of giving this murderer the schemes to kind of take everybody out. So I was wondering in all this, I think the audience actually can feel the most for is actually Reggie, Josh's dog. Do you find at all that Reggie's
100%.
like a symbol of kind of like innocence in this story, or am I reaching there? Because I did find it interesting he disappeared right after the affair actually happened.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that Reggie is almost the hero.
Yeah.
I think he's got a clear conscience, and he might be the only one. And I also think, I when I was kind of like, this might sound spooky, but I also thought of Josh kind of as like an excitable dog, like an animal kind of the whole time. He was like, he's so happy to be with this person, and it's like kind of lucky about that, and he's got this going. But then he would also kind of like turn on a dime and get a little bit violent, and he just seemed to me kind of a little animalistic and like always on the edge. So I think Josh relates a lot to Reggie as well.
So,
and I do think that Chunk, who played Reggie, was maybe right after Allison, because Dave and Allison are married. But I do think that Chunk, who's the actor dog that played Reggie, was Dave's second favorite performer after Allison.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, he was
really
incredible.
Did feel
Yeah, and I think dogs need to get more recognition for sure in the industry. And I'm happy you're saying that, because I felt the same way. I connected to the dog, and it was such a vital part. It's funny, too, because you talk about Josh kind of having that personality that's a little animalistic. And I wonder, asking you, Jeremy, as a person, do you see Josh as a good guy? Like, do you feel for him? Do you kind of understand that, maybe he did attack Taylor towards the end there, but he didn't actually kill the guy, and he was kind of being lied to the whole movie by basically the killer and by his brother and his girlfriend. So do you have sympathy for Josh?
Yeah. I mean, he just wanted to be better for his partner, a better guy. So I was always kind of rooting for him. And then might have read dog. He just, I guess, so ignorant to his surroundings. And I think, sometimes dogs can be their attitudes can shift so quickly depending on the surroundings and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder too. Do you think when the big moment happens and it's revealed that Josh finds out that his brother's done the ultimate betrayal, do you think if he actually found Charlie in that last scene, he would have actually tried to kill him?
Yes. Someone gotten hurt. I don't know if it would have ended with death, but I think someone would have gotten hurt for sure.
Yeah. Now, I owe it to my listeners to ask you a question just related to Shameless because it's such a popular show and you have such an awesome character arc with Lip Gallagher. I was wondering if you can kind of compare doing a long character arc in Lip and how that you approach a character in a show compared to you have such a short time with Josh here. And did you find that challenging just to jump right into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're like challenging parts, but there's also nice parts. You know what I mean? Like it's been such a gift, and it's been so kind of exciting to play one character for 10 plus years because I've gotten to kind of grow with that character and change with that character, and we haven't gotten that far yet. So I do find myself getting very sensitive sometimes what the writer did, and you know what's the end of his story. You know, it's nice in a film is it's all right beginning, middle, and at the end. So I know what I'm working with right off the bat. So yeah, I think I've come up with it a little bit faster, but you could be more sure of yourself. And I think, you know, sometimes with playing Lip, because I've done it over so many years, it might be harder to commit at times because it's ever evolving and ever changing with the world that's so big, which is the world of Shameless that's gone on for so long now, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And wrapping this up, Jeremy, my last question is, do you have any thoughts of also jumping behind the camera and possibly directing anytime or?
I don't think anytime soon. I, you know, never say never. But I think for the meantime, I'm going to continue, hopefully getting the chance to work with some really special folks like I did on this movie and just kind of continue to learn, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jeremy, absolutely crushed it in this movie. It was a joy to watch it. It's an awesome film.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And also, everyone, check them out in Vienna and the Phantoms on demand now also. And, of course, today, The Rental is out, both on demand and drive-in theaters. Is there anything else you wanted to plug, Jeremy, before you go?
No, I think you nailed it. Thank you so much, Steve. And yeah, I really appreciate it. It was really nice talking to you.
Same to you, Jeremy. Have a great day.